CPI and percent change, why do I call it percent change? Because it is essentially just the percent change formula. For those of you who are familiar with it or not, percent change formula is anything to use it for anything that has a changed price. So if your stock went up by $10, right? Oh, okay, well, your stock was $100, now it's 110. 110 minus 100 gives you 10, divided by the old price of 100. So that's 10% increase, right? 10% percent change, that's good. I mean, sometimes percent change can be bad if it's the same numbers, but for how much it costs to get a week's worth of groceries, that would mean that it costs now, the percent change is 10% more. It costs 10% more to buy groceries. And that's the same thing for the inflation rate. So if the CPI, this is Consumer Price Index, increased by, let's say, normally inflation's 2%, right? So 2%, we've got old 2% last period. Now we've got new percent is 5%. Well, we do a little math here, 3 divided by 2, then we're actually going to have an increase in inflation. Not good at all. It increased by 50% there. You hate to see it. That's 1.5. That's a 50% increase. So that's kind of what we're dealing with here, and that gives you the inflation rate. So, I mean, that would be a 50% increase in inflation. It's not good. It's not good at all. So Consumer Price Index, as we've said, it's a measure of overall cost of a fixed basket of goods and services purchased by the average household. And that's calculated as the current cost of the market basket compared to the base year cost of the market basket. So if generally for all of your monthly expenses for a household, you have to spend $1,000. And yes, I know life's expensive. It's more than that. I'm using nice clean numbers. And so now it costs $1,000, whereas before it was costing $800 a month to fund a household's lifestyle. Right? That's, again, this is a base year. So you could also do this for, let's say this is year 5 and this is year 1. So you're comparing year 5 to year 1. You could also do year 2 to year 1. It doesn't, you could do month to month. This is a 25% increase, which over a 5-year period might not be the worst thing. I mean, over a 1-year period, sure, that could be pretty bad. It's not necessarily your job to interpret that and understand if it's like that bad or that good. I'm just kind of giving you insight into all of that. So that gives you an insight, right? That's 25% of increase there. That's our CPI. So that's where we could get, the 2% or 25% or whatever it may be here. What is the producer price index? Well, it's the same as the CPI. It is essentially just, so here we calculate what you as the individual have to spend on gas and homes and cars. The PPI, the producer price index, is what producers have to spend on raw materials and labor. And so if labor increases, you have to pay your employees more. You have to pay more for lumber and coal and everything like that. Then yeah, you'll see inflation through producers' eyes as well. It's calculated the same way as CPI. It's just we're using different basket of goods, those that apply to producers of companies and all. Example of CPI, nothing crazy, nothing radical. I mean, this should just be so memorized because it's just not that big of a deal compared to so much else of what we'll see. Right, here's our formulas again. What's given? The CPI rises from 131 to 136.5. I mean, could they give it you percentages or just numbers? Doesn't really matter, right? Just apples to apples, oranges to oranges. So it just gives it to us in numbers. Don't worry about what the numbers mean. What's the annual inflation rate? So the new minus the old divided by the old, and then times 100 to create a percentage there. This is it. This is how difficult it is. However, just a note, I mean, the percent change formula is pretty important throughout BC. It's also important throughout life. I mean, if you want to calculate what your pay increase has been since last year, if you want to calculate basically anything, what the cost of a gallon of milk is at the store or anything like that, this is your good old formula. What did it used to be versus what is it now? And divided by what did it used to be, so that's the percent change. Hey there! Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material. We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.